Okay, so you might be thinking enemy of God is a little dramatic. So in this video, I'm going to give you my points why I believe Kamala Harris is not only an enemy of God, but she's no friend to the black community either. But first, I got to start off by saying I was wrong. I admit I was wrong. I had made a video over the weekend predicting Joe Biden would select the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, as his VP. And my reason I gave was he has to win Michigan. And as always, Democrats will take the black vote for granted, which I said is a mistake this time around. Now, in all fairness, right after I made that video, 100 black leaders sent a letter to Joe Biden, including P. Diddy, as well as some politicians. But 100 affluent black leaders in America sent a letter to Joe Biden threatening him if he did not select a black running mate, they would abandon him, would not support him. So I'm not saying my video got these people nervous and they sent him this letter, because it seems like he couldn't make up his mind anyway, because he said he was going to select her last week and he delayed it a whole week. So I would imagine, there was some rumblings and some leaks that he was thinking about picking a white governor from Michigan, and maybe that's why he changed his mind. So instead of picking a white governor from Michigan to win the state of Michigan, he picked a woman whose father's from Jamaica, who in an op-ed admitted that he's from Irish descendants who owned a plantation and owned slaves. So her father she comes from a family of slave owners. And on her mother's side, the mother is a descendant from India. So he picks a Jamaican Indian woman, and CNN reports the first African-American vice president. This is historic. AP, the first black VP nominee. This is historic. So, first of all, obviously she's not African-American. And I hate to even go here in 2020. It's ridiculous that we even have to judge people by their skin tone. I mean, it's just a tone, a color. It could be, if I was in the Florida sun for 2 weeks at the beach, my skin tone would be browner than hers. I promise you that. So, like I said, I hate to even go there, but the Democrats and the media force us into this ridiculous conversation about skin tone. But she's not black, she's brown. So, I mean, like I said, in 2020, the only people that care about race and gender when it comes to a job is the Democrat Party and their allies in the media. But since they force us to this conversation, I have to start off by saying she is no friend to the black community. Number one, when she was Attorney General in California, she put over 1,500 African Americans in jail for smoking pot. That's right. And it wasn't until Donald Trump signed the Prison Reform Act a couple years ago that these men were released. So you got me right. Because of the 1994 crime bill that Joe Biden sponsored and pushed through and got Democrat President Bill Clinton to sign, because of that crime bill, Kamala Harris was able to put these men in jail for a long time just for pot. First offense with pot. But thankfully, Donald Trump, being a friend of the black community, got him out with his 1994 crime, with his recent Crime Justice Reform Act. So she's no friend of the black community. And even worse than that, when I was watching one of the first debates, Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat, called out Kamala for hiding evidence that would get a man off death row. So I looked this up and I want to see, is this true? The man's name is Kevin Cooper, and he's a black man, African American, really a black guy, not Indian, Jamaica, a black guy. And he was on death row, and when his lawyers wanted to present evidence, she fought tooth and nail to suppress that evidence. And finally, a court forced her to show the evidence, and the man was set free. So she is no friend to the black community. but a great pair with Joe Biden. He made that crime bill, and he said, man, I got 20 or 40 offenses people could do life in prison for. And she went right along. He made the law, and she put him in jail. So they're a great team. You know, if you like to put away young black men for smoking pot, vote Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. In contrast, Rudy Giuliani, everyone knows him as mayor, but growing up in Jersey, he was the attorney general in New York, and I seen this guy bust the mob. This guy broke up the mafia. You know, they were powerful. He wasn't afraid. He broke up the mafia. He put politicians, he didn't care if they were Republicans or Democrats, he got corrupt politicians thrown into jail. And he said in 12 years, he's never put anyone behind bars for pot, not once in 12 years as a prosecutor. So that's a contrast right there. So she's no friend of the black community. Now, as far as an enemy of God, God is the creator and sustainer of life. God creates life. No man should take life. No man should take innocent life. That's a mortal sin. Kamala Harris is the most pro-abortion vice president candidate we've ever had. Along with Joe Biden, who's now become the most pro-abortion candidate we ever had. So Kamala Harris, the most pro-abortion vice president nominee, teamed up with Joe Biden, the most pro-abortion presidential nominee. They both believe the Democrat platform, they're in lockstep, that a woman can have abortion through the 9th month, even if she's dilating, even if she gives birth. They believe in infanticide, where they can let that baby die or kill that baby. It's the woman's choice between her and a doctor. This is the mainstream mood, the mainstream belief in the Democrat Party today, the leadership. I'm not saying the Democrat on the ground, you know, the votes like his mother and father voted. This is not the same Democrat Party as your mother and father. This is not the party of John Kennedy. This is the party of death. This is the party of death. And while she was Attorney General, one of my heroes, and he's a young man, and it's funny to have a hero that's half your age, but, you know, we all have heroes, like St. Ignatius, you know, he's my hero, but he lived, 1,700 years ago. But there's a current hero in the Catholic faith, a young man, I believe he's in his late 20s, his name is David Dalladin. This guy is my hero. This guy, I don't know how he did it, but he formed a fake medical group to go undercover into Planned Parenthood to buy body parts from aborted babies. And he filmed it. This was amazing how they pulled it off. But I seen the films, and you seen the Planned Parenthood executives laughing about how much money they're making selling these body parts. And they would like joke and show little hands with the 5 fingers as clear as day, waving, ha ha ha, or something. I mean, it was sick. It was sick and disturbing. But he had undercover videos, and his team went in and played it off like they were interested in buying body parts. And I remember they said, you know, like an arm or a leg is $50, but livers are hard to get. They're like $150. And if you want a whole skull, not crushed, it'd be like $500. And if you wanted a whole body, like a 5-pound body, that was like $1,000. They talked about these unborn babies like they were commodities. It was sickening. It was so disgusting. And so he exposed it. He was showing these videos week after week. He was showing a more disturbing video. And in a normal world, you think the attorney general of that state, he was in the state of California at the time, you would think in a normal world, the state attorney would prosecute Planned Parenthood, because this is illegal from what I understand. Instead, the attorney general, who happened to be Kamala Harris, prosecuted David Dolan. I think he got thrown in jail and had to get himself bailed out. Not only that, raided his home like he was a criminal. And lo and behold, she was the attorney general running for the Senate, and guess who her biggest financial supporters were? Planned Parenthood. So this woman is an enemy to life, and the sustainer of life is God. She is an enemy to God. So a vote for this woman and Joe Biden is a vote against God. I believe this is a mortal sin. So there you have it. Vote your conscience and stay Catholic.